This is the story of how a man thought he was playing chess, but the queens had already won the game. Charles was a man of structure, a family man, a businessman, a former street lord. His days of arms dealing were long behind him, or so he thought. His empire was legit now, diversified across real estate, oil, and tech. He had a wife, Busy, who believed in his transformation, and a son who looked up to him. Then, one evening, just as the sun dipped behind the Eco-Atlantic skyline, his past knocked on his front door. It was Teni, fresh out of Karikere Maximum Prison. "You look good, Charles," she smirked, leaning against the doorframe like she owned the house. "Better than me. Prison uniforms don't exactly scream, boss lady. But then again, I was wearing it for you." His blood ran cold. She hadn't changed. Her voice still carried that razor-sharp edge, the one that could slice through even the thickest of lies. "What do you want?" She sighed dramatically, stepping inside without an invitation, trailing her fingers across the polished furniture. "A place to stay. And before you say no, just know this, I talk loud. And I still remember where all the bodies are buried. Including yours." Charles felt his stomach drop. She wasn't bluffing. Teni never bluffed. He swallowed hard and forced a smile. "Fine. But you can't stay as you. You're Whale's sister now. Busy must never suspect." Teni chuckled. "Charles, darling, you always did have a way with words. All right then, let's play house." At first, Busy was skeptical. "You never mentioned Whale had a sister." Charles forced a casual laugh, wrapping an arm around her. "She's been abroad for years. Just came back after some family issues. It's just temporary." Busy eyed Teni carefully, taking in the sharpness in her stare, the way she carried herself with a quiet confidence that didn't quite match someone in need of charity. But she let it go. After all, Charles had never given her a reason to doubt him. But that was before Teni started wrapping him around her finger. Suddenly, Charles was running errands for her, handling her affairs like a second wife. He picked up her dry cleaning, refilled her phone credit, ensured her bank transfers went through. Teni wasn't a guest in his house, she was a queen reclaiming her throne. And Busy. She was watching. Not outright, not accusingly, but her silence carried weight, like the eye of a storm before the thunder rolled in. Then came the night everything changed. Teni got him drunk. One drink turned into 2, then 3. Her laughter was rich, her touch familiar, and Charles was too deep in his own guilt to resist. The next morning, he woke up in her bed, his head pounding, her fingers tracing his chest like she had already won. "We made a mistake," he growled, trying to sit up. Teni smirked. "You made a mistake. I made a move. And now, my dear Charles, we need to talk about the future. Our future." She hinted at pregnancy. Charles panicked. She wasn't getting her claws into his world that easily. "You're taking a morning after pill," he demanded. Teni just smiled, slow and knowing. "Why would I do that? This fortune of yours. Half of it was built on my silence. Now, I'm just collecting my share." Charles's mind raced. She was unpredictable, dangerous, and worst of all, smart. He couldn't afford to have her pregnant with his child, not when she was already this deep in his life. He needed to be sure. The next morning, Charles made breakfast himself, eggs, toast, and fresh orange juice, just the way Teni liked it. But this wasn't just any breakfast. No, this meal had a secret ingredient, the morning after pill, crushed finely and mixed into her eggs. Teni took a bite, watching him as she chewed slowly. "Wow, Charles, since when do you cook? Trying to butter me up?" He forced a chuckle. "Just thought I'd treat you, since you seem to be sticking around for a while." Teni raised an eyebrow, slicing through the eggs with her fork. Thoughtful. But you should know, I never eat food I didn't prepare myself. Old habits die hard. She reached over and grabbed his plate instead, swapping them without breaking eye contact. Bon appetit. Charles felt his stomach drop. She knew. She had outplayed him again. That was when Charles knew Teni wasn't here to haunt him. She was here to replace him. The night was heavy, the air tense. Charles sat in his study, nursing a glass of whiskey, but the drink did nothing to calm his nerves. The distant sound of sirens wailed softly in the background, growing closer with each passing second. He could feel his walls closing in. Teni leaned against the doorway, arms folded. "You hear that? That's the sound of judgment, Charles. And this time, it's yours." Busy stepped into the room, her expression unreadable. "You really thought you were the smartest one in the room, didn't you?" The sirens grew louder. Flashing lights bounced off the walls. Charles's heart pounded as he realized there was no way out. "Let me make this easier for you," Teni said, smirking. "Confess now, or let the police dig it all up themselves. Either way, this ends tonight." Charles exhaled sharply, dragging a hand down his face. "Fine. You want the truth? You'll get it. But don't act like you're saints in this." And then he confessed. To everything. The arms deals. The betrayals. How he framed Teni. How he planned to do it again. Busy's voice was eerily calm. "She's not just some ex-con looking for revenge, Charles. She's my sister." The front door burst open. The police stormed in, weapons drawn. Charles turned to Busy in desperation. "You set me up? All this time?" Busy simply smiled. "We all have a role to play, darling. Yours just ended." Teni put on her sunglasses. "Enjoy Kirikiri, love. I hear the beans is still as terrible as ever." As the officers cuffed Charles, the weight of betrayal settled deep in his bones. Busy and Teni walked out of the house together, stepping into a sleek black car. The empire he built, the wealth he hoarded, the power he clung to, it was all theirs now. And Charles? He was nothing but a man who thought he had won until the queens took his throne.